Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, depending on where you find yourself in the globe. We welcome you to Kingdom Economic Forum in partnership with New African Concept. Over the period, we've had a lot of series the last one that we had to do with we discussed systemic thinking. We've had other series, and those of you joining us for the first time, we want you to visit our YouTube. When you go to our YouTube, Kingdom Economic Forum YouTube, type Kingdom Economic Forum. We have all the discussions that we've had over the period. We believe that it's going to be more informative for you. Follow them, listen to them over and over. And those of you who are listening to us, don't just listen and you think you've gotten all that we are saying. No. Go back to the YouTube. You can download them, subscribe to the YouTube, and receive more information from this forum. We have set up this forum to inform, critically analyze issues within our society. We have become like a kingdom prophetic voice, letting people know what is actually happening. And I'm excited that in the next 3 weeks, we're going to go through another series that I believe it will help in our discussions. And with me in the studio, the reason why, because he is the founder for New African Concept, and that is why we are taking a bit of time to be having those discussions. When we finish with the series ahead of us, we will bring other resource persons that will help us to solve other problems. But till then, we believe, having had discussions, we believe that we need to set a foundation, establish the basis so that those that we will be inviting on our programs will know the trajectory that the path we are carving for the program. This is Kingdom Economic Forum once again. And today, and for the next 3 weeks, we're going to look at the African church in perspective. The African church in perspective. That's the past, present, and the future. The African church in perspective. The past, present, and the future. The church has played wonderful role in our society. And we have so many questions that we need to ask. The youth are asking questions. The society is asking questions. The question is, the church still relevant? What role has the church played? And I've said that the church has played a marvelous role in our society. Is that all the church could do? Is there more room for improvement? Could the church have done better? These are questions we are asking. And listen to me, we are asking questions and we are trying to come up with some solution. You listening to us, watching us, we want, if you have any questions. The beautiful thing about the church is that Christ answered questions. The founder of the church was open for questions. If you read the Bible, most of the questions, the Pharisees were asking questions, the unbelievers were asking questions, and Jesus had time to explain all these questions, and that is what we're trying to do. So don't be afraid when we are asking the African church in perspective. Whatever we are sharing is to help the church to do better. The questions the youth are asking, we are here to answer. The questions the unbelievers are asking, we are here to answer. The questions the atheists are asking, we are here to answer. So once again, the founder of New African Concept, Dr. Joshua, you're welcome. No.
Thank you very much.
The topic, as I have indicated, the African church in perspective. The past, present, and future. And today we want to focus on historical context and early church influence. And I have some questions here. I don't know whether you want me to ask all the questions or you wait till You
Maybe I think okay. You can go through the questions so that
you get
a framework. Yes.
So I have 5 strong questions for you.
Okay.
And the focus, as I've mentioned, is the historical context and early influence. How would you describe the formation of African church during the colonial and missionary eras? What were some of the earliest expressions of African Christianity, and how were they received by foreign missionaries? In your view, what key lessons can the African church today learn from its historical foundations? Did early Christian churches resist or absorb traditional beliefs? And what was the impact? And the last one is, which individuals or movements shaped the African church significantly in its early days? I don't know whether...
Good.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Okay. So once again, we are warmly welcome to the Kingdom Economic Forum, and to add a voice, please do well to subscribe on YouTube and then indicate your interest by also sharing for others to join in, because we are on a mission. So the question is on, or the topic, that is the African church in perspective. And the various questions, I think since we have 3 weeks, maybe we can look at the past,
and that's
present.
What I'm,
yes.
So today is the past.
The past, yes. Like I can see it in sync. Okay, so we'll look at the past today, then the present, and then the future.
Good.
Okay, so to put all of them together so that I make it as a narrative to pick them up. Sometimes we think that, many people think our first contact with the gospel is the coming of the whites or during the colonial times. But the church or Christianity was in Africa way before the coming of the white man.
Wow.
Yes, so that's a bit of historical clarity that many people, even including many Christians, think that our first contact with the Bible or the church as Africa was, let me say, the coming of the Europeans. Yeah, so proud to that. So before we come to the coming of the Europeans, we must know on record that the church or Christianity came to Africa as early as the 1st century. The Apostle Mark was the evangelist who came to Africa with the gospel, or with the message of Christ. As early as AD 60, Christianity came to Africa. And even when you read the accounts of the Ethiopian Enoch, of course, so from Ethiopia. Yeah, so it has been there. So the early church, especially in Africa, it was more of the church in Ethiopia, which we normally call the Coptic church. And then the northern side of Africa. Yes, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt. Those were, in those times, it was Namibia, Carthage. Yes, that is present day Algeria, Tunisia enclave, and then the Egyptian enclave. So the part of Africa that had the touch with the early gospel was the northern side of Africa and then Ethiopia. So internal, or when you come inwards or downwards, it was not, there was not much of the Christian flavor as of that time. So it grew, and in fact, a good number of our church fathers, the likes of Cyprian, St. Augustine, Tertullian, St. Origen, all these were from Africa. And they contributed massively to shape the church, the Western, especially the Western form. They was the Western and the Eastern blocks of the church. So the Western block of the church had these fathers, the likes of St. Augustine, Tertullian, and co., who really also contributed massively. But they, as I said, they were in the northern side of Africa, and then also the Coptic church was in Ethiopia. Yeah, so it continued until somewhere the 7th and 8th century, where Islam also came on board. And when they came on board through Abu Bakr, who was the second caliphate, he pushed the army from the Arabian Peninsula, and then they came to Africa. So they were also in the northern side. And it was so more or less the waves or the fires of Christianity was quenched through the sword of Islam, because mostly it is either you convert or you be killed. So some converted, and then those who loved their lives converted and got inquired there. And then those who stood their grounds, unfortunately, were killed. So Christianity, the lights came down, and then it was localized around Ethiopia, where they were having some underground churches and all that. So the second touch of Africa with Christianity was now the European. So they came on board.
Maybe before you go,
okay.
I read somewhere that we had some black popes. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So
because the current generation think that no black man has become.
I've become.
So maybe if you have.
Yes. So exactly. So there have been a number of black popes. Even I think we had about almost 4 of them being from Africa, and one was called Alexander. Yes, so Pope Alexander was from Africa. So if all through that period between the papacy actually started from the 6th century. Yeah, so Saint Leo or Pope Leo was the first recognized pope. That's from the 6th century, all through to, of course, through to now that it is still around. So it must also be put on record that there have been blacks who have also risen to the level of the papacy or the pope. Yeah, so so all these also, apart though the context here is on religious discourse, it goes on to also confirm what we always say, that we shouldn't look down on ourselves as Africans or blacks. We have done it. We have all that it takes. The only thing is to align things right, and that's why we always say we see a new tomorrow, because we believe strongly that if we align things right, the potentials within us is unimaginable. Yes.
In your statement, you mentioned that there was a town. Is it Carthage?
Yes, Carthage.
And I have read a bit about that town. Those years, that place, they had 10,000 castles. Then they had street lights. They had developed proper sewage system.
Very.
In the early centuries. And
very
the
advanced.
Europeans were not near.
Very advanced.
Very advanced.
Maybe I'm sure we may have to get a time to do maybe African civilization.
Yeah. I think it will help.
I think it will help to really, because many people think everything has been an European influence. There are several accounts that the European sailors and explorers came, saw what was going on here, and they were marveled. And they have even written in their diaries or even write-ups, like one Meridian guy, what the things he saw, even coming to even the Asante Kingdom, the Benue City in Nigeria, the Dahomey, there were advanced civilizations.
We had water closets in Africa before the white.
Way before. So, just like you see, if you don't know your history, you are bound to repeat the mistakes or the errors of history. And that's why George Orwell said that if you want to destroy a people, then one of the first things to do is to cut them off their historical information, because they don't know where they are coming from, and definitely they will not be able to know where they are going. So maybe we may have to spend another time fully on African civilization, the kingdom that have come, the efforts they did, the contributions, and it's been marvelous.
I think we need to do that in the next series.
Very. It's been marvelous. It's been marvelous. So back to the context. So afterwards, the second major touch of Africa with Christianity was now the European influx. So we know that in 1471, that was when the Portuguese, through the efforts of Azambuja and Co., they came down here with the intention of trading, and then they started. So the Portuguese were Catholics.
Okay.
So by 1478, the first missionaries that came down were actually Catholics, because the Portuguese that came as merchants were also Catholics. So 1478, they also came down, and then they started pushing. Then later on, the Dutch came down also, and then they overthrew the Portuguese. So the Portuguese retreated from the Gold Coast or from Africa, and then the Dutch took over. The Dutch were also Anglicans. So when they were pulling off, that is the Portuguese, naturally the Roman missionaries also pulled off with them. So they went off, and then they came back around 1888. That is the Roman missionaries. Then the Dutch also came, and then the Dutch also, so that when the Dutch came, then we had the Anglican missionaries also coming down. So from the Roman missionaries through to the Anglican missionaries. But over that period, they did not do much work. So when it comes to much of the missionary work, it was more from the 19th and then the 20th century, especially starting with the Basel Mission, which is the Presbyterian. So they got here in December 1828. So 2028, 3 years from now, Presbyterian Church is going to be 200 years in Ghana. 200 years in Ghana. That's 3 years from now. Yes, and then so the Methodists also came 1st January 1835. They also got to the soils of Africa, specifically the Gold Coast. So 2035, Methodists will also be 200 years. So those enclaves, we call them the missionary Christianity. That is the Roman Catholics, the Anglican, the Basel, which is the Presbyterian, and then the Wesleyan missions, which is the Methodist missions. So the missionary Christianity, they came and then they contributed massively. They contributed massively. Some of of course, their main message being the gospel means that they were winning Christ, or they were winning souls through their preaching of the gospel. But beyond that, they also had interest in education. And most of the Ivy League schools, especially the secondary schools, were pioneered by these missionaries. The likes of Prempeh College, the likes of Opokuware, and these Presec from Presbyterian, and then Wesley Girls, Infantipim. So major, or one of their major contributions were in that light. And also even in agriculture, like Abrofon-Cartier. So what the missionaries did was, when they were coming, they also came with some of their plants and crops, which were not indigenous in our soil. Yeah, so things like Abrofon-Cartier were sponsored by the missionaries. Because when they came, they were living amongst the people, and then they were also growing some of these. In fact, they brought a number, but some of them did not find germination within our soil. So the ones that grew were incorporated into our let me say, agricultural flora. And another thing was, they also helped in shaping the culture, especially inhumane practices. So in Nigeria, for instance, Mary Slessor, who was a missionary there, they were having that practice where twins were considered an abomination or a curse. So if you give birth to twins, they will kill them. And they were able, through the missionary work, they were able to do that. Even here, things of human sacrifices. Yeah, so at least these were some of the major contributions of the missionary Christianity to our land, or to Africa. On the flip side, so in every sense, we want to see their limitations as well as their contributions. Yes. So on the other side, the challenge, I think we've said it here before, the challenge was with the kind of Christianity they brought, and then the way in which they presented that Christianity. So first with the kind was more of dualistic, or what we call Christian dualism. That was what they were practicing there. So they brought that Christian dualism.
You can't give what you don't have.
You can't give what you don't have. So we don't have to blame them, but at least with the benefit of hindsight, that's why we review these things so that ultimately we can position the church that what kind of church does Africa really need? And we must know where we are coming from in order to be able to answer that question. Yeah, so Christian dualism was that dichotomy between the sacred and the secular. So it was more of westernized philosophy, which they more or less situated it in the scriptural perspective.
You got a quotation to support.
Yes, to support it. Yeah. And that is why, to date, many concerns are raised when you go to the castles, when you visit or you go to an excursion. There was the castle chapel, which was normally up there, and beneath it, there was the dungeon where the slaves were weeping and crying, and then they were and there was a castle chaplain. So on Sundays, they were having service at the top there. Whilst the people are even screaming, they'll be having service, they'll pray, they'll read the Bible, they'll preach. And afterwards, they'll go back and then mistreat them. That is Christian dualism. That is a separation of what is sacred. So the assumption is that sacred is what we do in church. Our tithe, our prayer, this is to God, it is holy. Afterwards, secular. And even till now, we have that language of my secular job. But secular comes from the Latin, which means without God. So when we say secular job, so that means that that space is without God.
God don't come there.
Don't come there. So that is the separation between sacred. So the sacred is God is here in the chapel and things like that. And then the secular, so many people don't know, but it comes from a Latin word which means without God.
I think you've made a very, because of our time, I think you've made a very serious point where the foundation of the gospel we had, the major problem had to do with the dualism.
Dualism.
If you are listening to us.
Dualism.
I think you can attest to that. That when you go to church, you are so spiritual. When even the pastor slaps you, you think that he's anointed, the hand is so anointed.
You accept it in good faith.
But the moment you come out and somebody steps on your toe, because you in your mind you think that place is between you and the person. God, you haven't invited God to that place. You do. Your guess is mine. So, and it's free. We've now identified where
exactly
unconsciously we are behaving the way we are behaving because of the kind of gospel that came here. And we are saying we are not blaming them because they can't give what they don't have. So I want you to hold on to this because that is the foundation of the less impact we are experiencing in our society. Even though we are 72% Christian. When we go out there, it's as if we are 1%. The impact out there is about 1%. And you know what? It's not you, but we want to correct it as you listen to me. So maybe you can conclude on that then.
Yes, so that is a very striking point. So they were doing that in the castle and they felt there was nothing wrong.
They were serving God.
And unfortunately, for over 200 years down the line, that Christian dualism is still there. So from Friday to Sunday, or Friday we'll go for all night, Saturday our brethren in the Adventist fraternity will also go. Sunday the others will also go. The churches are full to capacity. From Monday to Friday, it is secular. So God don't come to the workplace. That is the place where we do our shady deals. So, and some of these people were preaching. They were the people who preach just on the Sunday. Some of them are pastors, some of them are elders, deacons. But one deaconesses, when they come to the workplace, the psyche is that this is not a place that God is.
In this business, this is business.
Yeah, this is business. This is business. So even a fellow Christian would tell you, if you are reminding him of kingdom values in the business that, that one is, we have church time. Yeah, so, Master, this is business. Don't bring the Bible here. This is business. And just like you said, the reason why, or one of the major reasons, is Christian dualism. So it means that looking forward, there must be a shift. because the Christian dualism is impotent. It cannot, as it has shown for 200 years, it has shown that it does not have what it takes to transform the society. Wow. Even if we go to 100% Christian, now we are 72.1, and it is not cutting. No. You don't need the prophet to tell you that even when we go to 80, 90, 100, it will not cut.
It will not cut.
But with the true Christianity, even if we are 5%, even if 10%, it has what it has to shape or turned their world upside down like the early apostles did during the early church. To wrap up with the missionary, the other side, so that was the kind of Christianity they brought. The last aspect was the way in which it was presented.
Okay.
So the way in which it was presented, once again, it was more of they presented Christianity covered with Western or westernized Christianity. Okay. Yeah, so
they didn't
contextualize. There was the lack of contextualization. So what happened was, unconsciously, it made us feel that to be Christian is to be Western.
So as a pastor, you have to put on suit.
You have to put on suit. If you ask me about tie. So as a pastor,
you have to put on suit.
You have to put, yes. It reminds me even of one account. Ifrimamu. Yes. Ifrimamu's account. No, that was Presby. Yeah, so he was a catechist. And then one time he went to preach. Now we're front to in his nice kente. And yes, and after preaching, he was called to the disciplinary committee that why were you in Kente to preach on Sunday instead of a suit and tie? So he was to be in a suit and tie to preach to his own fellow Ghanaians or people at that time. And then he was queried that it was wrong to put on a native fashion or cloth, that is the Kente, to do the preaching. So all these were part of so the way in which it was presented made it look like anything and everything about our culture was demonic and wrong. And that to be Christian means to be Western. And through till now, that effect is still very much strong. And sometimes even those of us maybe in the cities, when we go for evangelism to maybe less deprived areas and we seem to assume that they must live like us for them to be Christian. But what was missing was it should have been contextualized. The seed of Christianity must be placed in the soils of the culture, and it will bring forth its unique. Yes, it will bring forth its unique plant. So what they did was they carried the flower pot together with the soil and then the plant and brought it here. What they should have brought was the pure seed and then put it in, if it is in India, put it in the soils of India or the soils of Africa. And it will bring forth its unique tree. And that would have given the fruit as it is. So the two limitations of the missionary Christianity, one was the kind of Christianity they brought, which was Christian dualism, and secondly, the way in which it was presented, which was lacking the contextualization or the context. And so it was presented covered with westernization. And even with our marriage, I've been talking on it a lot, our marriage ceremony. So we had our own traditional ceremony. Engagement. And then we have then imported or adopted, which was their also culture. So there is nothing essentially Christian about the white wedding. So it is their culture. But some way, somehow, unconsciously, we think our reading dimu, it is not consummate or complete. Yes, it's not complete without the suit and then the wedding gown. But actually, it was complete the very time the father, the two families, or the father of the lady gave. That was when it was complete. So the other ones are only ceremonial. which they are just superfluous, which can actually be taken off and then nothing. God, marriage is even more of a family thing than a church thing.
I get it. This is Kingdom Economic Forum. I am enjoying the discussion. I wish we continue, but because we want to make sure that we work within 30 minutes, that is why we are ending. But I've told you that this is the part 1 of the 3 of series within the topic, the African Church in Perspective. I know you have learned a lot. Today we have looked at the past. No, you said that Presby Church is about to enjoy how many years? 200 years.
200 years by 2028.
It took almost 90 years for the Presby Church to come to my hometown in Asante Asama, because they celebrated 110th anniversary.
Oh, okay.
This year.
Okay, yeah.
Or last year, for 110th anniversary. So, what am I driving at? We are trying to look at the past. Doug has given us some historical information for you to know that when we talking about the African church, it didn't start during this colonial. Some of you have wrong perceptions and interpretation. You know, the white man brought Christianity here. Where we started, we lost it, but the grace of God, we had a second chance.
A second chance.
And He has told us 2 major flaws. In spite of all the good things, the education, the healthcare, whatever, changing some norms and cultures that were not humane, they still had 2 limitations. The Christian, the 4, that is the dualism.
The dualism.
And then the presentation. They exported without contextualizing.
Exactly.
And we think that it's something we need to work on. We want to end here. If you have questions, those of you listening to us, please, the floor is open for you to ask questions. Any comment, any question, clarification, the opportunity is granted to you. Once again, if you were not able to join us, go to our YouTube channel, Kingdom Economic Forum, where you have opportunity to listen to this program again. Doug, once again, until we come your way next week. Next week is the second part. We have looked at the past. We are going to look at the present next week. And don't miss out until we come your way next week. We thank you for your time. Bye-bye.